Hello you guys, welcome back. Happy summer to those that celebrate. Technology and I, man, we're not friends. I don't know if this mic is gonna work, but it's here, so let's try it out. Today we are going to be talking about making big decisions, pivoting in life. If you're new here, my name is Julie and I help moms get in touch with their intuition. I feel like as we have modernized as a society, especially with the age of social media, there is just so much, and I hear this from friends, I hear this from clients. There's just so much about how we have lost kind of our role, like just the ease of mothering. Yes, mothering is hard, but I think it's harder than ever now to know what to do. There's so much noise and confusion. So I coach moms to help them clarify that on whatever issue they're experiencing. I have 3 kids of my own, 10 and under. So I have done this early childhood thing now for a little while, and I have a background in occupational therapy. So I have studied human development and human behavior professionally and worked with many people. So I feel like I'm just seeing a lot of this disconnect between like what decisions I should make and trusting a doctor or someone else, like a daycare worker or something, over ourselves as mothers, you know? So that's kind of what I am really fired up about these days. And that's a lot about what my content covers. And before we get into the video, I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be launching a new coaching intensive program with my friend Jess, who is the owner of the Very Good Mothers Club, and we have done one of these intensive coaching programs earlier this year and it went really well. The transformation was incredible, and a lot of that was just uncovering the answers that the participants in our program, the moms in there, they already knew deep down. They just needed that extra boost of encouragement to help them feel more confident in making decisions for themselves and their families, putting up boundaries. So if that is something you're interested in, make sure you check out all the links down below, because we're going to be starting that new program really soon and I'm super excited about it. It's going to be such a highlight of my summer because it really just makes me feel like there's hope in the world, you know, and we can help moms, because I have said this before and I will say this until the cows come home. It all starts in your household, and you as a mom can't control really what's out there, but you can control what's in your home, and the way that you bring up your children and how present you are for them and the way that you enable them to become independent, thoughtful, kind, resilient creatures is really up to you. And it is something that can have a positive impact on the world. And I think a lot of the things that we see in the world today and that we are horrified by and the news is from children that grew up to be people who were not in tune with their own value system and abilities, and it's a total dumpster fire. So let's get into the topic for today, which is what I said is about making decisions, pivoting, and let's get into the little story time. I love telling stories. I've realized I'm a great rambler. So I have my list over here, I have my notes, and I want to make sure that I cover everything. So a little bit of backstory. I have been feeling like I need to reevaluate some of my own personal goals. So now that my children are getting a bit older, now that they go to school more consistently, more full-time, my youngest one is 4, so she's doing more school stuff, I feel like I have a bit more time to give back to either occupational therapy, hand therapy. That's kind of is my specialty as a hand therapist. And when you do it for a certain amount of time, after a while, it's like you can do it kind of with your eyes closed. So I have taken a bit of a break, but at the same time, like I did it for much longer than I've taken as a break. But anyway, so there's that. And then just also wanting to financially contribute to our family and just feeling like a bit lost. Like, what do I do? I'm at this crossroads where I need to decide, I need to make big decisions. And perhaps you're in a place of a decision as well. Like it could be, am I going to go back to work after having a baby? Like if I have a choice, am I going to go back? Am I going to have another baby? Am I going to pivot in my career so that my job is more family friendly and more flexible? Are we going to move? Should I try and make more friends? Am I feeling lonely? Should I try and become more social? All of these things. Like there's just a lot of decisions. Sometimes they're small and sometimes they're large in our lives. And I wanted to talk about things that have helped me to kind of weather this a little bit, because it is the most despondent feeling, depressing feeling, to feel purposeless, to feel uncertain of the future, but in a bad way, like not in an exciting way. Like, I can't wait for what the future holds. Not like that. More like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And, something that I think we all have to face eventually is that empty nest sort of feeling and syndrome, where our children, if we've done a good job, are out there in the world living their lives, hopefully, being responsible citizens, and we're kind of left at home. And that can be glorious too. You're no longer responsible for day-to-day things. It can also be very lonely and very purposeless. And I just feel like I don't want to end up kind of this like old maid style where I don't have enough to do, in a way. I don't know. I don't have any purpose outside of raising my children, which I do believe is the most important thing for me, especially now while they're young. But as they get older, they need me less and less, or they need me in different ways. I can maybe have a little bit less hands-on time, and I can do more things that require me being maybe out of the home, or computer work, or something like that, where I'm not like dressing them and wiping them and all the things. What do you need? Yeah. Of course, as I'm talking about my children needing me less, one comes in and interrupts me. But anyway, so where was I? So as I was saying, now I got interrupted, but this feeling of despondency and not having a purpose, I don't want that when I'm like 50, or, when my kids are out of my house. So I'm really now debating what I'm going to do next. Like, it's kind of the start of a new decade for me, and it's a new sort of era with my children getting older, and how can I blend the two? It's always the challenge for me, is the career versus family, and the way I've been programmed to be very focused on my career, and also just the way life is expensive, and it's always great to have a little bit of extra income just to take the pressure off, and also to take the pressure off of the breadwinner, or if you live in a one-income household, having a little bit of extra. It's tough, and when you have young kids, when they're very small, you're like, how in the world would I add something to my plate? And people do it, and they're superheroes and amazing. And it comes at a cost, I think, in many different ways, like a cost to your kids, a cost to you mentally and emotionally. Just those early years and trying to hold a steady job is tough. Been there, done that, and I wasn't very good at it. But anyway, so now we're at this point, and things that have really helped me to just change my mood and my attitude towards the whole thing is taking action. And whether it's trying to find a new job in this case, or explore different options, or doing something else, like maybe you're feeling really uncomfortable or not attractive in your body. Let's just say, let's do the gym example, tails all this time. Taking action gets you out of that slump, that momentum. In the therapy world, if you're a physical occupational therapist or some kind of exercise physiologist or something, I know this is very niche, probably most of you do not know or care about these people, but in the physio world, or in the physical world of rehab, we always talk about motion is lotion. In other words, I think that's right. In other words, when you start moving, lotion is motion. When you start moving, you loosen up. Things start to happen for you. And it's a very good metaphor, because it's true. When you start exploring things, there are other opportunities that can crop up, and it just makes you feel a lot better that you're doing something. I have gone through periods of life where I'm so busy and so kind of stretched thin that all I want to do is brain rot. I love this term. It's like a new term to me, but all I want to do is vegetate and do nothing, and like just have the ability to lie on my bed and scroll and I guess watch Netflix or whatever. And when I've had instances like that, where maybe I've been sick, or like I've hurt my arm, like I've had this kind of chronic tendonitis, so every now and again I'll overdo it big time and not be able to use this right arm. It just hurts all the time, and it's so depressing. It is just so awful. And it's fine to kind of brain rot for a little bit, and if you're really ill, it's fine to watch TV and kind of just regenerate and heal for a few days. But it gets old, at least for me, super fast, and I get really depressed. I don't know, I just become, maybe it's not depression per se, but I become really unhappy. And so when you can start to take action, have some kind of plan, you just feel a lot better. And when you feel a lot better, you're able to do things that you didn't think you would be able to do when you weren't feeling good. So that's what I would encourage you. If you're finding yourself in a rut, in a place where you need to make some decisions that you are putting off, or you just want to change your life for the sake of, this is my one life and I want to show up in the best way I can. As I said, maybe it's the fitness thing, maybe you want to read more, maybe it is changing a career that aligns more with your family values, or maybe it's stopping work altogether. Taking action and researching and exploring, at least for me, makes me feel a lot more in control and a lot better overall, and I can actually start to get to a place where my head is clear and make better decisions. So I've spent the last few weeks kind of exploring different options for me. What would make sense? Going on like interviews and just talking to people and connecting and networking. And I've been busy trying to like get documents together and scramble things, but it's made me feel like there's hope and that I actually can take an active role in my future and see what's out there for me. And I think that's important to show our kids as well. You know, I think I've gone through various iterations of mothering and my opinion on work and mothering, and personally, and I saw a video about this the other day, you cannot really work from home with a young baby or child. I would argue it's easier when the baby is younger, but some people might disagree with me. When a baby is sleeping, maybe you don't have meetings that have a set time, you can get work done, assuming that you have one cell of a brain left and can actually focus on something. You're not really designed to be working on something else after you've just had a baby. But as they get older, especially toddler age, the amount of mental energy you need if your child is at home with you all the time to just get your life in order so you can parent them from a good place, because they will challenge you and push your boundaries. That is their mandate. And if they're not doing that, they're not following the rules. They're not listening and following their own rules, I guess. Anyone with toddlers will tell you that it's challenging, and some people love toddlers, and I love that for them. And I love my toddler too, but she is very demanding. Even as a 4-year-old, she can play by herself, she can dress herself, she can go to the toilet by herself, she can even brush her teeth. Doesn't mean she will. She can, and I've seen her do it. She can write her name, she can color for a long time, she can listen to stories. Doesn't mean she will. So that means I have to be around, and I've noticed when she's at home with us all the time, if we don't have any help, I am her constant, she just constantly asks me for food and snacks and things, and needs help with things and hurts herself. And anyway, my point being, you cannot do any meaningful kind of work and job during office hours when you have children at home. At least I can't. And again, as your kids get older, yes, like my 10-year-old, my 7-year-old are here at home with us today. My husband is working, my little one is doing a camp, and I can sit down and film this video, but I still got interrupted. So it's not like it's completely without interruption, but I can reason with them and tell them and say, I'm going to be working for this amount of time, and when you need something, come and talk to me after this time, or unless the house is burning down, do not come and disturb me. That kind of thing. I can make phone calls, I can send emails, I can do stuff, but not when they're very small. And so now that we're entering a different stage, I can kind of see a new life. So what I guess I'm saying is, when you're in the early thick of it childhood stage, it's really hard to imagine taking on something else, and people have to do it, and they do it. And I don't think I really could think about career, even though I was ironically working when my children were very small. And I was I felt so guilty. It was so hard. I wanted to do a good job at work, and I wanted to do a good job at home. And I have a lot of values around sort of traditional parenting and someone being at home, usually mom, but it doesn't have to be mom. And I think had my husband not had a job, it would have been a different story. If I was the breadwinner, I would have still wanted to be home, but I would have been able to feel like, okay, I have a purpose, I'm earning money for the family and he's looking after them. But hiring help, just for me, it's so hard. And it's different, a few hours here and there, fine. But when it's primarily a nanny or a daycare and you're missing out on all of it, yes, selfishly, I was missing out on a lot of it. But also my input to them, my influence over them is also being missed out on. And I just couldn't reconcile it. And eventually I left that job because it was just too much. And then we moved, and so here we are. And so now I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there's something else out here now. But I think if you're in that early phase, it's very tough. And as I said, my relationship between career and parenting has changed over the years. It's gone from, I'm going to go back to work full time as soon as I had this baby and my maternity leave is up, to I cannot go back to work. Like, this is terrible. Trying to like get out of the whole thing and trying to leave my job took me a long time to resign, because I want to do a good job, and I want to show my children that I am a person other than a mom. But at the moment, at that time, that was my most important job, where my most important hands-on job, and they really needed me. Now it's a little bit different. Now we're getting into like elementary school, a little bit older, having their own lives, and hopefully all that sacrifice that we put in to the early years and all that, you know, time and energy that we both kind of gave to them and gave up from ourselves, hopefully that kind of pays forward now as they get older. So another thing that I wanted to say, and kind of what I said at the beginning with the coaching that we're doing, is that regardless of that, coaching, I think, has really helped me. So I've been a recipient of coaching programs. I've done quite a lot of coaching as a participant, and then obviously I've coached other people. And when you immerse yourself in this world, you can kind of get to a point where you can sort of coach yourself and tell yourself these things. And perhaps that is why I've been able to kind of pull out of this slump quicker than I would have in the past, because I think I did have my husband, you know, breathing down my neck telling me that he thinks I'm unhappy. But I think I was able to be like, okay, at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you, and only you. I mean, even those people that love you dearly, like your parents or your husband, your siblings, your best friend, they're not coming to find you another job or, you know, make these big life decisions for you. At the end of the day, it's really only you that can move the needle. And I'm also the only one that like intimately knows what I'm capable of, what I need in a job, what I can offer in a job or offer in a situation. And so I'm really the only one, even though I feel like it the least, to pull myself out of a hole. And so I think having the coaching and having the self-awareness, which is a continuous journey, you know, you never really like arrive. Reading a lot of books, that's also really helped me. Getting off social media has really helped me. I deleted Instagram from my phone. I have it on my computer, but if you've ever used Instagram on your computer, it's super clunky, and so it's like not that fun. And I do still have this instinct to go and find my Instagram app on my phone, but you know, it's not there, which is exciting. And I'm just the only decision I have to make is not to re-download it anytime soon, but I do like to use it to connect with people. But I'm just trying to minimize distractions and sort of black holes that we go down when we don't feel good, and instead replace that with healthier habits. So I think the coaching has really helped me to move me from A to B. Because at the end of the day, like, you just have you're with you come into this world alone, you leave this world kind of alone. And we need to use those skills that we learn in therapy or coaching or in studying and reading books or talking to people that we admire or whose lives we admire, or people who have gone through similar things or hardships. And like, how do you get yourself out of that? Because that is the true champion. Someone who's like down and out and like claws their way back to some kind of success in life, whatever that means for them. That's really admirable. And there's been many situations where I've never really reached success, and I've tried. So I know it's very hard, just from a personal level, to always kind of come out successful. But I think having that sort of internal dialogue and understanding how you operate and looking at your blind spots and having that self-reflection is super, super helpful. Have to adjust my leg. Oh my gosh, it's falling asleep. Oh, okay. So anyway, that is what we're talking about today. If you feel like you're down and out right now, you're just not in the place that you want to be. And as human beings, we all are here to grow and evolve. So I think we are the happiest when we somehow find that blend of purpose and rest and being productive. Oh, while I think about it, I have a few books that have really helped me during this period. Let me go and grab them because I think they will be helpful to you. Because here I am going on about reading books, but I actually have read quite a few books recently, and they have really helped me as well. So I'm gonna go grab those. But yeah, this is for the person that's feeling like they're in a bit of a slump. So I hope this will help. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. That took longer than I expected because my leg fell asleep. Okay, so the very first book that I feel like was life-changing of late was this one, and I listened to the audiobook. I borrowed it from the library, listened to the audiobook, and I loved the book so much that I ordered a secondhand version of this. If you go on Amazon, you can order like used books for considerably cheaper. I mean, it's got like a few doodles in it, or I guess like people have underlined a few things, but it's very minimally used. It's such a great book. It is a pastor writing to his constituents, so it has quite a big religious impact, like a Christian sort of message. If that's like, I'm just putting it out there, if that's not your thing. But I really enjoyed it, and I think the messages, regardless of whether you are religious or not, are really helpful. He speaks about a Sabbath day, so like taking a day off from technology and activities and commitments, and which would be a really big challenge for me because my kids play a lot of sport over the weekend, and I'm like, which day, which kid, like how would we do that? But just even if I might not get to the point where we're taking a whole day of not doing anything from sunset to sunset, but I take all, like I put my phone in airplane mode, or I just kind of take off 8 hours where I'm not checking it all the time, or I try and reduce how many commitments we have, because I feel like towards the end of the school year it really got insane. So I highly recommend this book. I really enjoyed it, and it has like a lot of practical ways. Like one of the things is drive at the speed limit. I'm always rushing. So this book is like, I always feel like I'm rushing. It is like a chip that I have from childhood where I was kind of always blamed for us being late for things. And so I kind of am hyper aware of it. And so I am trying my best to kind of get to places. He recommends like 10 minutes early, go in the longest line in the grocery store, check your social media once a week, stuff like that. Some of the stuff it's like, are you crazy? No, some of the stuff's challenging. And then the other ones I have on my phone, let's see if I can find them. So one of them, this one I really enjoyed. Let's see if I can. So I just have this, I'll just have the picture here, but it's called The Gift of Failure by Jessica Lahey. I'll link these books down below if you're curious to check them out. I really enjoyed this book. And it's not really anything to do with big life decisions, but it just filled me with inspiration and motivation. And it's really about this idea of letting our kids like figure it out for themselves a little bit more than we do right now, because we kind of went from latchkey generation where parents were not really involved in our lives to over parenting. And the truth is somewhere, or the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle of that, like being present, but also letting them fail. So I really enjoyed that book. And then the one I'm reading now is called The Joy of Saying No. And that's just a good, The Joy of Saying No. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's just like a really good reminder to a recovering people pleaser. Not really recovering, I am a people pleaser. So I just like that message. But yeah, anyway, getting kind of off your phone and reading and finding inspiration in other people's work and in subjects that they have studied and spent a lot of time thinking about, I think is really helpful. And it just puts you in a much more positive place rather than doom scrolling on Instagram, which I never really considered myself a doom scroller, but I'm sure I am. I'm just like in denial. If you're doing this a few times, you're probably doom scrolling. So anyway, that is all we have for today. I hope you guys are having a great week. And if you are a mom with summer ahead of you, I actually love summer. So I hope you have a great summer with your kids. I love the slower pace. I love that we don't have to get up at the freaking crack of dawn and get these kids who need to be sleeping more out of bed to be on time. In theory, the traffic should be better here in Austin. It is not. I'm like, everyone's still working and no one's gone away. Maybe as we get further into summer and people clear out of here in July and August because it's so hot, maybe the traffic will improve. I don't know, but it hasn't really improved for us. But anyway, I think it's an opportunity. Summer is an opportunity to spend more time with your kids, to maybe focus on skills that you don't have time for in the school year. Like maybe they need to do a little bit of extra math, or maybe they're going to learn how to play chess. That's what my kids did. I put them in a chess camp for a little bit so that they could learn how to play chess, because I certainly can't teach them. Tennis, I don't know, whatever it is for you guys, or badminton, or Rubik's Cube camp, or there's just like more opportunity to like really explore interests that I feel like during the school year there just isn't. And for you too, maybe there's an opportunity for you to like get into baking or sewing or doing something that you've kind of had on your to-do list where, everything has been so all-consuming and you haven't had time. So I hope you can take a moment for yourself, get off your social media apps if they're not serving you, and enjoy time with your family. And with all that said, I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this, and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you soon. Bye.